Being an empath is far more intense than just having a kind heart or being a sensitive soul. It's a physiological and emotional reality where the barrier between you and the rest of the world is paper thin. While most people see someone crying and feel sorry for them, you feel the actual sting in your eyes and the heaviness in your chest, as if the grief were your own. You are a human sponge, moving through a world that is constantly dripping with hidden emotions, unspoken tensions, and vibrating energy. You don't just notice the atmosphere of a room, you absorb it into your very pores, often without even realizing it's happening. This level of awareness is like operating on a high-definition frequency while everyone else is stuck in standard definition. It's why society might label you as weird, dramatic, or too much. The truth is, your nervous system is simply tuned to pick up on the subtle signals that others are deaf to. You can sense a lie before it's spoken and feel the shift in a room's energy the moment a specific person walks in. This isn't a choice, and it isn't something you can easily turn off. It's an immersive experience that dictates how you move, who you spend time with, and how much downward time you need just to feel normal again. Because you inhabit the emotions of others, your daily life looks fundamentally different from the average person's. A simple trip to the grocery store isn't just a chore, it's a marathon of processing the frustration of the cashier, the impatience of the person behind you, and the exhaustion of the parent in the next aisle. This constant influx of data can make you feel like a permanent outsider, wondering why everyone else seems so unfazed by the chaos of human emotion. If you've spent your life feeling like you don't quite fit the mold, understand that these weird traits are actually signs of a powerful, rare intuition. You aren't broken. You're just deeply connected to a reality that most people aren't even aware exists. 1. Crowds feel like an assault. For the average person, walking into a crowded room is a simple social experience. But for you, it feels like walking onto a battlefield without any armor. You aren't just dealing with the loud music or the bright lights. You are being bombarded by 1,000 invisible frequencies all at once. Every person in that crowd is carrying their own emotional cloud. Some are stressed about work, some are angry at their partner, and others are deeply lonely. While most people can walk right through those clouds without noticing, you absorb them like a sponge. It's an aggressive, non-stop influx of data that your brain has to process in real time, making a simple night out feel like a grueling mental marathon. This experience is what we call a sensory assault because it truly feels like your boundaries are being violated. You aren't just hearing voices, you are literally feeling the unspoken tension in the air. You might be standing in a grocery store line or a packed bar, and suddenly you feel a wave of unexplained irritability or a crushing sense of sadness. It isn't yours, but your body doesn't know the difference. Your nervous system starts to redline because it can't tell which emotions belong to you and which belong to the stranger standing 3 feet away. This is why you might find yourself checking for the nearest exit or feeling your heart race for no apparent reason. Your body is detecting a threat because it is being overwhelmed by too much information at once. When this happens, your internal hard drive hits its limit and your brain triggers an immediate fight or flight response. This is that sudden, frantic urge to escape, the feeling that if you don't get to a quiet space within the next 60 seconds, you might actually lose your mind. To an outsider, it looks like you're being moody or antisocial, but in reality, you are performing a necessary act of survival. You are protecting your peace from being hijacked by 1,000 different directions. It's not that you hate people, it's that you feel them too much. Leaving the party early isn't a sign of weakness. It's a strategic move to prevent your system from crashing under the weight of a world that refuses to be quiet. The weight of this burden is something only a genuine empath truly understands. It's the reason you prefer small groups over large festivals, and why you often feel hung over after a day spent in a busy city, even if you didn't touch a drop of alcohol. You are experiencing an emotional hangover from processing the collective baggage of everyone you walked past. Understanding this is the first step toward reclaiming your power. You have to realize that your need for solitude isn't a character flaw, it is your recharge station. By stepping away from the crowd, you aren't hiding from life, you are clearing out the noise so you can finally hear your own voice again. 2. Your home is a sanctuary, not just a house. For a genuine empath, a home is never just a building or a place to store your things. It is a vital life support system. Because you spend your day absorbing the chaotic energy of the outside world, your living space serves as the only place where you can finally stop reacting to everyone else's vibrations. Most people choose a house based on the number of bedrooms or the price tag, but you are subconsciously scanning for something much deeper, the energetic frequency of the space. You can feel if a room feels heavy, stuffy, or unsettling the moment you walk through the door. If the environment doesn't feel light and safe, your nervous system will stay in a state of high alert, making it impossible for you to truly rest or recover from the day's emotional toll. This is why living in a dense, high-traffic city center or a neighborhood with a lot of underlying tension can be absolutely devastating to your mental health. You aren't just dealing with the physical noise of sirens or traffic, you are dealing with the energetic noise of thousands of people living in close proximity. In a high-crime area, the collective fear and aggression in the atmosphere act like a slow-acting poison on your psyche. You absorb that thick, dark energy through the walls, and over time it begins to seep into your soul, leaving you feeling constantly drained, anxious, and irritable without knowing why. For you, peace and quiet isn't a luxury, it is a medical necessity. You need a low-energy environment where the vibrations are stable and calm, so your own internal system can finally reset to its natural state. If people call you picky or difficult because you refuse to live in certain areas, they don't understand that you are literally protecting your life force. You crave serenity because your body needs a vacuum from the world's noise. You are drawn to places with trees, water, or open spaces because these natural elements help to neutralize the heavy human emotions you've picked up throughout the day. When you find a home that feels right, it becomes a sanctuary where you can finally shed the emotional armor you wear in public. In a space that is energetically clean, you can breathe again, heal from your daily interactions, and find the clarity you need to function. You know instinctively that if your environment is chaotic, your mind will be too. Ultimately, your home is the only place on earth where you aren't being assaulted by the feelings of others. This is why you might spend a lot of time perfecting the lighting, the scents, and the overall vibe of your rooms. You are creating a barrier between yourself and a world that feels far too much. By curating a peaceful residence, you aren't just decorating, you are building a fortress for your spirit. You realize that to be a functioning empath in a loud world, you must have a silent base to return to. Without that sanctuary, you are just a human sponge sitting in dirty water. But with it, you have the power to wring yourself out, refresh your energy, and face the world again on your own terms. 3. You are an emotional mirror. Being an emotional mirror is one of the most exhausting yet profound aspects of the empath experience. Unlike the average person who can see someone in pain and simply feel sorry for them, You don't have the luxury of maintaining that distance. For you, there is no emotional wall. When you walk into a room where someone is grieving, you don't just observe their sadness, it physically enters your body. You feel a literal weight pressing down on your chest. Your throat might tighten, and a wave of unexplained gloom washes over you. You could have walked into that room feeling perfectly fine, but within seconds, your own mood is completely hijacked. This isn't just being nice or understanding. It is a total emotional takeover where your internal state is forcefully synchronized with the person standing next to you. This mirroring effect works on both ends of the spectrum, which can make your life feel like a constant, unpredictable roller coaster. If you're grabbing coffee with a friend who is buzzing with excitement and success, you will suddenly feel like you're on top of the world. Your energy levels spike, your confidence soars, and you feel an incredible high that has nothing to do with your own life circumstances. While this sounds great in theory, the problem is that you aren't in control of the remote. You are at the mercy of whoever happens to be in your immediate vicinity. If that person is toxic, angry, or deeply depressed, you will find yourself spiraling into those exact same feelings, often leaving you confused about why your mood shifted so drastically in such a short amount of time. To survive in a world filled with heavy emotions, you have to master the difficult art of emotional discernment. You must learn to constantly ask yourself, is this feeling mine, or am I just reflecting someone else? This distinction is the only thing that stands between you and total burnout. It requires a high level of self-awareness to recognize when a feeling isn't yours and to mentally return to sender. If you don't learn to distinguish between yours and theirs, you will spend your life drowning in shadows that don't belong to you. Becoming a master of your own energy means learning how to be present for others without letting their storm become your weather. It's about being a mirror that can see the light, but doesn't have to break when it reflects the dark. 4. You possess a human lie detector. Being a genuine empath means you possess a built-in, high-frequency radar that makes it almost impossible for people to lie to you. While the rest of the world listens to words and looks at surface-level expressions, you are tuned into the vibration of the person speaking. You don't just hear what someone says, you feel the intention behind it. When someone tells you, "I'm fine," while wearing a practiced smile, it doesn't fool you for a second. Instead of seeing the smile, you feel the sharp pang of their hidden anxiety or the heavy cloud of their sadness pressing against your own energy. It's like having an X-ray vision for the soul. You see right through the social masks that people spend hours putting on, and you go straight to the raw, uncomfortable truth of how they actually feel. This ability acts as a psychic bypass that skips past all the polite small talk and goes directly to the person's true intent. You can sense the subtle sting behind a compliment that is actually rooted in jealousy, or the hollow emptiness of a promise that someone has no intention of keeping. Because you are a human sponge for energy, a lie feels like a jarring, discordant note in a song. It creates a physical sensation of wrongness in your gut that you cannot ignore. While your friends might think someone is charming or sincere, you might find yourself pulling away instinctively because you can feel the manipulation or the hidden anger simmering beneath their polished exterior. You aren't being judgmental. You are simply reacting to the data your nervous system is picking up. However, carrying this human lie detector is incredibly exhausting. It means you are constantly exposed to the messy, unfiltered reality of everyone you meet, whether you want to be or not. You are forced to navigate the world, seeing the pain behind every forced laugh and the bitterness behind every polite nod. There is no off switch for this. Even when you want to just enjoy a casual conversation, you are hit with the heavy realization that the person across from you is deeply insecure or secretly resentful. It makes social interactions feel like a minefield because you are reacting to what is unspoken while everyone else is just following the script. You see the gaps between what people say and what they actually mean, and that constant awareness can make you feel isolated and overwhelmed. Ultimately, this trait makes you one of the most difficult people to deceive, but it also means you carry a heavy burden of truth. You are often the only one in the room who knows the real temperature of a situation, and that can be a lonely place to stand. You see the real version of people, the version they try to hide from the world and sometimes even from themselves. To thrive with this gift, you have to learn to trust your gut implicitly, even when logic tells you otherwise. If something feels off, it is off. You don't need a confession or physical proof. Your internal radar has already given you the answer. Your job isn't to call everyone out on their masks, but to use that information to protect your own energy and keep yourself surrounded by people whose insides actually match their outsides. 5. Your problems always take a back seat. As a true empath, you live with a savior reflex that is wired so deeply into your personality, it feels almost impossible to switch off. You possess a heart that is naturally open, and your first instinct is always to heal, fix, and comfort. Because you are hyper-aware of the suffering around you, you tend to view other people's pain as an urgent emergency, while viewing your own as a minor inconvenience. You might be in the middle of a massive personal crisis, struggling with your own stress, health, or finances, but the moment someone else comes to you with a problem, your own life completely vanishes from your mind. You will drop everything, stay up all night, and pour every ounce of your remaining energy into helping them find a solution, even when you're the one who actually needs a lifeline. This habit of putting your problems in the back seat comes from a distorted sense of emotional math. Because you can feel the raw intensity of other people's emotions, you often trick yourself into believing that their heavy baggage is more valid than your own. You convince yourself that your struggles aren't that bad compared to what others are going through, so you pack your own pain away in a box and hide it in the corner. You become the reliable rock for everyone else, the person who always has the answers and never seems to break. But the truth is, you aren't made of stone. You're just becoming an expert at ignoring your own alarm bells. You keep telling yourself that you'll deal with your own issues later. But later never comes because there is always a new crisis from a friend, a family member, or even a stranger that demands your attention. The reality you have to face is that you are operating on a dangerous deficit. You cannot pour from an empty cup, no matter how much you want to. By constantly prioritizing the healing of others while neglecting your own, you are essentially running a marathon on a broken leg and wondering why you feel like you're collapsing. Your empathy is a beautiful gift, but without boundaries, it becomes a form of self-sabotage. You think you're being selfless, but you're actually burning out the very engine that allows you to be helpful in the first place. If you don't learn to stop, look at your own wounds, and give yourself the same compassion you give to others, you will eventually reach a point of total emotional bankruptcy. You'll find yourself resentful, exhausted, and completely hollow, with nothing left to offer the people you care about. Learning to put yourself first isn't an act of selfishness, it's an act of survival. You have to realize that your happiness and your stability are the foundation of your ability to heal the world. If the foundation is cracked, the whole house will eventually fall. You need to start treating your own problems with the same urgency you treat everyone else's. This means saying no when you're drained, taking time to retreat into your sanctuary, and understanding that you aren't responsible for fixing every broken person who crosses your path. You have to find yourself before you lose yourself in the service of others. Only when you are whole and healthy can you truly be the light that you want to be for the rest of the world. 6. You're a magnet for broken people. Have you ever found yourself sitting on a park bench, in a waiting room, or even at a grocery store, and within 5 minutes, a complete stranger is telling you about their childhood trauma or their messy divorce? This isn't a coincidence, and it's not because you have "tell me your secrets" tattooed on your forehead. As a high-level empath, you emit a specific frequency that acts like a lighthouse for people in the dark. People who are hurting, lost, or broken can sense your light from miles away. They don't just see a friendly face, they subconsciously detect a healer, a listener, and a rare safe harbor in a world that is usually cold and dismissive. They feel an immediate magnetic pull toward you because they know instinctively that you won't just hear their words, you will actually feel their pain and validate their existence. While this ability to provide comfort is a beautiful gift, it carries a heavy price that most people don't see. Because you are so open and receptive, you inadvertently become a target for energy vampires, people who don't actually want to heal, but simply want a place to dump their emotional trash. These individuals aren't looking for a solution, they are looking for a host. They thrive on the attention and the high they get from your empathetic response, leaving you feeling heavy and depleted while they walk away feeling lighter. If you aren't careful, you will find your life becoming a revolving door for everyone else's drama. You'll spend your days fixing everyone else's broken pieces while your own life falls into disrepair, simply because you can't stand to see someone else suffer. The danger here is that broken people can be incredibly demanding. They don't just take a little bit of your time, they want all of your emotional energy. They will call you at 2 a.m. with emergencies that aren't actually emergencies, and they will expect you to carry the weight of their bad decisions. Because you can feel how much they are hurting, your savior reflex kicks in, and you feel guilty for even thinking about saying no. But you have to realize that some people use their brokenness as a way to avoid taking responsibility for their own lives. If you are always there to catch them, they never have to learn how to walk. You end up trapped in a cycle of caretaking that leaves you emotionally bankrupt, with no resources left for your own goals, your own joy, or your own health. To survive as an empath, you must master the art of the hard boundary. You have to understand that having a gift for healing doesn't mean you are required to heal every person who crosses your path. Setting boundaries isn't mean or selfish. It is an essential act of self-preservation. You have to learn to distinguish between someone who is genuinely seeking growth and someone who just wants to vent their toxicity into your clean space. You aren't a trash can for other people's trauma, and you aren't a 24/7 crisis center. If you don't start protecting your light, it will eventually be extinguished by the sheer volume of other people's shadows. You can still be a compassionate person while also being the gatekeeper of your own energy. By choosing who you allow into your inner circle, you ensure that you have enough strength to stay standing, so you can help the people who truly matter, starting with yourself. 7. You find solace in the wild. For a genuine empath, the human world is often a place of constant noise, hidden agendas, and thick layers of complicated emotions. After spending your day acting as a human sponge, absorbing the stress of your coworkers, the anxiety of your friends, and the collective heavy energy of the city, you reach a point where you feel emotionally suffocated. This is why you feel an almost magnetic pull toward the wild. When humans become too much, you find yourself craving the silence of a forest, the rhythm of the ocean, or the simple companionship of an animal. To an outsider, it might look like you're just going for a walk or playing with a pet, but for you, it is a spiritual decontamination. You are literally washing off the layers of other people's energy that have stuck to you throughout the day. The reason nature feels so healing is because it possesses a purity that humans simply cannot replicate. A tree doesn't have an ego, a mountain doesn't have a hidden motive, and a river doesn't care about your social status or your past mistakes. In the wild, everything just is. This lack of emotional static allows your nervous system to finally stop scanning for threats or mirroring others. When you sit in the stillness of the woods, the frantic noise of the human world finally drops away, and for the first time in hours, you can actually hear your own thoughts again. It's like a massive reset button for your soul. In nature, you aren't being asked to fix anything, heal anyone, or be anyone other than yourself. You are allowed to just exist, and for an empath, that freedom is the rarest luxury on earth. Animals play an even more specific role in your survival because they are the ultimate honest beings. An animal doesn't have a fake personality. They don't say one thing while feeling another. If a dog is happy to see you, their entire being vibrates with that truth. If a cat is content, you feel the honest frequency of their purr. For a person who spends their life detecting the lies and masks of other people, this raw honesty is incredibly refreshing and safe. You find solace in animals because their energy is clean and uncomplicated. They don't dump their trauma on you or expect you to solve their life problems. They simply offer a pure, non-judgmental presence that feeds your spirit instead of draining it. You can be around an animal for hours and leave feeling more energized than when you started, which is the exact opposite of how you feel after a crowded social event. Ultimately, you have to realize that spending time in the wild isn't just a fun hobby or a way to kill time. It is a mandatory requirement for your survival. If you stay cooped up in the human world for too long without this reset, your emotional hard drive will eventually crash. You need the earth beneath your feet and the wind in your hair to ground you and pull that excess static energy out of your body. Think of nature as your charging station. It is the only place where the world stops asking things of you and starts giving back to you. By making time for the wild, you are ensuring that your light stays bright and your mind stays clear. You aren't escaping reality when you go into the forest. You are reconnecting with the only reality that actually makes sense. Being an empath is a heavy burden, but it is also one of the most powerful gifts a human being can possess. You are the emotional glue of society, the one who sees the unseen and feels the unfelt. However, your ability to heal the world depends entirely on your ability to protect yourself. If you continue to let your environment dictate your mood, if you keep letting broken people drain your light, and if you never make time for your own sanctuary, you will eventually burn out. You have to realize that your sensitivity isn't a weakness that makes you weird. It is a sophisticated internal compass designed to guide you toward truth and connection. Once you learn to set hard boundaries and prioritize your own energetic health, you stop being a victim of the world's chaos and start becoming a master of your own life. You are here to bring light into the dark, but you can only do that if you keep your own fire burning. If this breakdown felt like a mirror of your own life, it's time to stop apologizing for being too much and start embracing who you actually are. We want to hear from you. Which of these 7 signs hit the closest to home? Do you find yourself escaping to nature just to breathe? Or are you currently struggling to set boundaries with an energy vampire in your life? Drop a comment below and share your experience with the tribe. Your story might be the exact validation another empath needs to hear today. If you found this direct and fluff-free breakdown helpful, make sure to like and share this video with someone who needs to understand their own power. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on how to navigate the world as a high-frequency soul. Thanks for watching, and remember, protect your peace, trust your gut, and never dim your light for anyone.